How the Mind Works. Chapter 1. The Greatest Power in Man. It is now a demonstrated fact that the powers and the possibilities that are inherent in the mind of man are practically unbounded. And this conclusion is based upon the discovery that no limit can be found to anything in human nature, and that everything in human nature contains a latent capacity for perpetual development. This discovery, and no discovery of greater importance has appeared in any age, gives man a new conception of himself, a conception which when applied will necessarily revolutionize the entire sphere of human thought and action. To be able to discern the real significance of this new conception will naturally constitute the greatest power in man, and should therefore be given the first thought in all efforts that have advancement, attainment, or achievement in view. The purpose of each individual should be not simply to cultivate and apply those possibilities that are now in evidence, but also to develop power to discern and fathom what really exists within him. This power is the greatest power because it prepares the way for the attainment and expression of all other powers. It is the power that unlocks the door to everything that is great and wonderful in man, and must therefore be understood and applied before anything of real value can be accomplished through human thought or action. To be able to discern the real significance of this new conception will naturally constitute the greatest power in man, and should therefore be given the first thought in all efforts that have advancement, attainment, or achievement in view. The purpose of each individual should be not simply to cultivate and apply those possibilities that are now in evidence, but also to develop power to discern and fathom what really exists within him. This power is the greatest power because it prepares the way for the attainment and expression of all other powers. It is the power that unlocks the door to everything that is great and wonderful in man, and must therefore be understood and applied before anything of real value can be accomplished through human thought or action. The principal reason why the average person remains weak and incompetent is found in the fact that he makes no effort to fathom and understand the depths of his real being. He tries to use what is in action on the surface, but is unconscious of the fact that enormous powers are in existence in the greater depth of his life. These powers are dormant simply because they have not been called into action, and they will continue to lie dormant until man develops his greatest power, that is, the power to discern what really exists within him. The fundamental cause of failure is found in the belief that what exists on the surface is all there is of man. And the reason why greatness is the rare exception instead of the universal rule can be traced to the same cause. When the mind discovers that its powers are inexhaustible and that its faculties and talents can be developed to the very highest degree imaginable, and to any degree beyond that, the fear of failure will entirely disappear. In its stead will come the conviction that man may attain anything or achieve anything, provided, of course, he works within the natural sphere of universal law. Whatever circumstances may be today, such a mind will know that all can be changed, that this condition can be made to pass away, and that the vacancy may be filled with the heart's most cherished desire. That mind that can discern what exists in the depths of the real life of man does not simply change its views as to what man may attain or achieve, but actually begins to draw upon the inexhaustible power within, and begins at once to develop and apply the greater possibilities that this deeper discernment has revealed. When man can see, feel and understand what exists beneath the surface of his life, the expression of this deeper life begins, because whatever we become conscious of we invariably bring forth into tangible expression. And since the deeper life contains innumerable possibilities as well as unbounded power, it is evident that when the deeper life is clearly discerned, anything within the human sphere may be attained or achieved. The idea that there is more and more of man than what appears on the surface should be so constantly and so deeply impressed upon the mind that it becomes a positive conviction, and no thought should be placed in action unless it is based upon this conviction. To live, think and act in the realization of the fact that there is more of me should be the constant purpose of every individual. When this is done, the more will constantly develop, coming forth in greater and greater measure, giving added power, capacity and life to everything that is in action in the human system. When the average person fails, he either blames circumstances or comes to the conclusion that he was not equal to the occasion. He is therefore tempted to give up, and tries to be content with the lesser. But if he knew that there was more in him than what he had applied in this undertaking, he would not give up. He would know that by developing this more he positively would succeed where he had previously failed. It is therefore evident that when man gives attention to his greatest power, that is, the power to discern the more that is in him, he will never give up until he does succeed, and in consequence he invariably will succeed. That individual who knows his power does not judge according to appearances. He never permits himself to believe that this or that cannot be done. He knows that those things can be done because he has discovered the more which really exists within him. He works in the conviction that he must and will succeed because he has the power. And this is the truth. He does have the power. We all have the power to live, think and work in the attitude that there is more of you within the great depths of your being, and to know that there is more of you within the great depths of your being, and to know that this more is so immense that no limit to its power can be found, will cause the mind to come in closer and closer touch with this greater power. And you will in consequence gain more and more of this power. The mind that lives in this attitude opens the door of consciousness, so to speak, to everything in human life that has real quality and worth. It places itself in that position where it can respond to the best that exists within itself. And modern psychology has discovered that this best is extraordinary in quality, limitless in power, and contains possibilities that cannot be numbered. It is the truth that man is a marvelous being, and the greatest power in man is the power to discern this marvelousness that really does exist within him. It is the law that we steadily develop and bring forth whatever we think of the most. We shall therefore find it highly profitable to think constantly of our deeper nature and to try in every manner and form imaginable to fathom the limitlessness and the inexhaustibleness of these great and marvelous depths. In practical life, this mode of thinking will have the same effect upon the personal mind as that which is secured when placing an ordinary wire in contact with a wire that is charged. The great within is a live wire. When the mind touches the great within, it becomes charged with the same immense power. And the mind is more or less in touch with the great within when it lives, thinks, and works in the firm conviction that there is more of me, so much more that it cannot be measured. We can receive from the deeper life only that which we recognize, because consciousness is the power between the outer life and the great within, and we open the door only to those things of which we become conscious. The principal reason, therefore, why the average person does not possess greater powers and talents is because he is not conscious of more. And he is not conscious of more because he has not recognized the depths of his real life, and has not tried to fathom the possibilities that are latent within him. The average person lives on the surface. He thinks that the surface is all there is of him, and therefore does not place himself in touch with the live wire of his great and inexhaustible nature within. He does not exercise his greatest power, the power to discern what his whole nature may contain, and therefore does not unlock the door to any of his other powers. This being true, we can readily understand why mortals are weak. They are weak simply because they have chosen weakness. But when they choose power and greatness, they shall positively become what they have chosen to become. And we all can choose power and greatness, because it is in us. We all admit that there is more in man than what is expressed in the average person. We may differ as to how much more, but the more should be developed, expressed and applied. It is unjust both to the individual and to the race to remain in the lesser when it is possible to attain the higher, the richer and the greater. It is right that we all should ascend to the higher and the greater now. And the greatest power in man reveals the fact that we all can.